Okay, you're back. So, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another Friday evening live with us. I have here with me today Herman Chow, who is a personal branding photographer based in Netherlands. And Herman is one of the best personal branding photographers I have observed. And believe me, I do observe quite a bit when it comes to the business of personal branding. Herman has a background in fashion photography and in personal branding. And the bonus for me is he is extremely passionate about women putting their best faces forward. So, Herman, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Feels good.
And if you would like to share a little bit about yourself, you know, feel free to add a few words about yourself if you would like to.
Yes, I'm a portrait and personal branding photographer. I live in the Netherlands, originally from Singapore, but I've
Mhm.
moved here many years ago. So I run a business in photography, specializing in portraits.
Yes, thank you so much for that. So, today, Herman and I are going to be talking about something that both of us are extremely vocal and passionate about. We've had innumerable conversations about this. And when I had to talk about this very important aspect of personal branding and women who lead, I knew there was only one person who could do justice to this topic with me, and that was Herman. So, today, what we're going to be talking about is a visual identity of a brand. Now, for me personally, the visual identity of a personal brand is something that is very critical and very important. And it's also something that's very often overlooked. When I talk to women about personal branding, one of the questions that come my way is, oh, should I get a color to match my brand? Or should I get a particular style to match my brand? And it is always quite a challenge to explain to people that a visual identity is so much more than a color of the attire you wear or a particular style you have. It goes a much deeper. It goes, further than that. So what we are going to do today, Herman and I, is we're going to unpackage the visual identity of a personal brand, and hopefully those of you who are watching now and those of you who will watch this conversation later will have some takeaways that will help you to start constructing a consistent and authentic visual identity for your brand. So, Herman, let's jump right in.
Sure.
So, for me, so my question to you is to set the ball rolling is according to you, how important is it for a personal brand, gender agnostic, just a personal brand, to have an authentic and compelling visual identity or a representation?
Okay, before I answer this question, I think I will allow myself to explain to you and your audience what personal branding is all about. Because many people have this vague idea about personal branding. They know bits and pieces here and there, but not in I mean, the whole thing. All right, when you talk about visual identity, people will relate that to, okay, your website, your logo, your business cards, what you wear, that kind of stuff. But there's more to personal branding. It's about the way you communicate with people, how you reply to emails, how you structure your emails, how you interact with people on social media, your time management. Are you responsive to emails inquiries? How do people perceive you when they see you, when they hear your name? All these, they are part of your personal brand. Every little single activity you do, that is your brand. But most importantly, it is how you want your customers to experience when they work with you. That is personal branding. So it is important for you to have a compelling visual identity because that's what people resonate with you and how people see you. For instance, you see Apple, they have the Apple logo, and then the Coca-Cola with a red sign. And when they see this, they know, okay, that's that company, that's that business. But today, I want to talk more about something else than just your visual identity, than just your website and your logo. So, yes, it is important.
Yep. Yeah. Just to kind of add on, when we talk about personal branding on the work I do with my clients, one of the fundamentals that we start off with is what is your vision for yourself? What is the vision you have for your life? And how are you living that vision? And are your audiences really, seeing your vision and seeing your story and seeing your journey? So it's really the sum total of what you envision for yourself professionally and as a human being. And so, Herman, again, what, according to you, are the key visual elements of a personal brand?
Well, you have already said one of the elements, your mission. It is a statement that you have to tell your audience about your why, your how, and what.
Yeah,
And also, the next key element would be what are the core values in
yeah,
your life and in business? For instance, what do I mean by core values? It could be responsibility,
mm-hmm,
punctuality,
mm-hmm,
what else? Kindness, health. These are all your core values.
right,
What are your core values when you run this business?
mm,
So this is one of the elements. And the next one would be to share your story
mm,
to the audience. So the three
okay.
key elements for me: the mission, your core value, and your story.
And what about the visual elements? Now, we've talked about the core elements of a personal brand, but if we had to look, because they do say that a picture speaks a thousand words. And a lot of times, even before you've opened your mouth and introduced yourself, someone's seen your photograph either on social media or they have, even if they haven't read anything you've written, they have seen your picture and they've made a judgment call over there. So, according to you, what are the key fundamental visual elements of a personal brand that we all should be aware of?
Okay, first of all, you need to have. Oh, what's that?
Sorry, sorry, that was something on my computer
No
acting
worries.
up. Yeah.
I think first of all, you need to have a professional image of yourself so that
Mm-hmm.
when people see you, they see you
Mm-hmm.
as the professional and not
Mm-hmm.
someone that they don't trust at all.
Yeah.
Because your photograph is very important. But
Mm-hmm.
your business photograph, the photograph that you put on your profile, LinkedIn, or whatever, is
Mm-hmm.
just part of your personal brand.
Yeah.
It's just a tiny portion.
Yep.
Um, you can focus on logos as a visual
Mm-hmm.
for yourself. It
Mm-hmm.
depends what you want. But I
Mm-hmm.
want to talk about creating videos visually.
Yeah. Yes.
That's my
Yeah.
focus because
Yeah.
if you are running a business and you serve a customer who is a human being,
Yes.
they need to see who you are behind the
Yes.
business
Yes.
before they work with you because they need to trust you. They need
Yes.
to like you. And they
Yes.
cannot like you by seeing your logo.
Yes.
They cannot exude, the kind of emotions when they see your blog or your website. They can only
Absolutely.
do that. They can have the emotions with you
Mm-hmm.
when they see you online, talking to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm talking to you right now. You see my character. I mean, you can tell my
Yes.
character, my
Yes.
personality. Whether you
Yes.
like me or not, you can already judge whether you want to work with me to be photographed by me. That is
Yes.
important. That's what I want to focus of
Yes.
you creating your videos.
Yes, absolutely. I like the fact that you raise this, you highlight videos because the videos are the current, that's the current way to get eyeballs, to really reach to people in the present day. And video content is being consumed at an all-time high right now. So I'm really glad that you talk about videos. And I also have seen you have some amazing videos, Herman, yourself. So as we go forward in the conversation, I hope you're going to share some of your secrets with us.
Secrets.
But some of your secrets with the, to those sleek videos that we have seen on your profile. So, Herman, you work a lot with women, and both of us are we're very vocal and passionate about women stepping up and showing their best faces. I personally feel that every woman needs to have a very strong visual brand. And I mean, I have my reasons for believing this, but I also know that that is something you believe in. And what I would like to know from you is why do you feel a strong visual brand or a strong visual identity is very important for a woman who leads? And when I talk about a woman who leads, I'm not just talking about somebody who's working in an organization. It can be a business owner, it can be a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, it can be somebody who's leading a nonprofit or serving a community, or is an athlete, or is in politics, wherever. Any woman who leads, why do they need a very strong and authentic visual identity?
Well, they need this because you have to leave an impression to the people
Mm-hmm.
that you talk to.
Mm-hmm.
and how you want them to see you on social media as well. So
Mm-hmm.
if you come across as someone that really don't really care about, how you look when
Yeah.
you present yourself, or you don't even care how your photograph looks, how can your
Yeah.
customers be serious with you in the first place?
Yeah.
Because this is part of your business.
Yes.
So your visual is important. Like I said before, it tells people who you are. That's how people interact with you.
Yeah.
So when I see, hey, Reka is here. Oh, I see her all the time, 3 weeks and 3 times a week. That's the
Yeah.
impression that people get. And the more they
Yes.
see you, somehow they get interested in what you do.
Yeah.
Initially, they don't. But
Yes.
then the more I see you, hey, this lady talks about personal branding all the time. Who is she? Let me
Yes.
check her out.
Yes.
That's where you start to build a relationship with people, engaging with
Yes.
people.
Yes. Also, the very interesting thing about a visual identity, the reason I personally believe women must be very intentional about a visual identity is because women have to navigate terrains that are not always favorable to them, which is riddled with biases, and which actually also feeds your own sense of do I belong, do I not belong? And therefore, it's really important for you to have every advantage that you have and be very intentional about it. So, for me, a visual identity is so much about creating that presence even before I enter the room, even before I enter the conversation. I want people to know this is the emotion I want them to feel when they think about me or talk about me. So we have Benjamin who says, that's correct, Herman. Thank you today, Benjamin, for joining us, and thank you for weighing in. Keep the comments coming in. So, Herman, $1 million question. What makes you so passionate about supporting women in putting their best faces forward and in actually creating a very compelling visual identity through photography?
I'm not passionate to
You're
create these
not?
compelling visuals. No, I'm not. What I'm passionate
Really?
about is
Okay.
to give them the opportunity, women,
Yeah.
to see how unique and beautiful they are through my lenses, through my photography. That's what I'm passionate about,
Yep.
right? So
Yep.
I hope that answers your question.
No, I said, why are you passionate about supporting women, not in creating it for them, but in supporting, which means
Be-
what you said. Why do the fact that you want women to see how unique and beautiful they are through your lens, because that itself,
Because
yeah,
because a lot of women do not feel worthy of themselves. I have to go back to that, that subject a little. You
of
have to
course.
feel good about yourself, and
Mm-hmm.
then when you're photographed, you will be happy.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Mm-hmm.
is why I want people, to have the
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to see themselves, how beautiful they are, because a lot of women are critical about themselves, how they look, how they hate themselves, how they hate
Yeah.
to see themselves on photographs.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
to remove all this. This is all about your mindset.
Yeah.
Honestly, you have to, okay, let's not go there. I mean, you can ask me on another question because I will take 2 hours to talk about that.
No, but that is something that resonates very deeply because as a woman, what you say makes so much sense to me. And I know that little voice in our head which says, okay, you know what? Well, let me lose a couple of kilos and then I'll get a photograph taken. Or let me take it at this particular time when I know I will look good. And that time never comes, does it? So what you say makes a lot of sense. And why I'm interested in your views is because as a professional photographer, you have a professional eye. This is not personal. This is a very professional eye. It's a professional observation you're making, which I do believe all of us will benefit from listening to. So you don't have to take 2 hours, but yeah, you can rant a bit for about maybe a couple of minutes more if you want.
You know what, Reka? You know what? If I want people, I mean, especially women, ask yourself this question: do your customers really care how
Hmm.
much you weigh when they look at your
Hmm.
photograph? It is something that you have to work on yourself internally. Your customers don't care how many wrinkles you have. They don't care how old you are. What they care is how you can help them solve the problem and the experience when they work with you. Right?
Yeah.
That's it.
You know, agreed. Agreed. Thank you for saying that, Herman. I'm really happy you said it because there is a difference in hearing it from a professional. There is a difference from, because we tell this to each other as friends, but when a professional who's in the business, with someone with your background comes up and says this, it comes with a certain professional gravitas, which should matter to us as a professional opinion. So thank you for saying that. But before we go any further into dissecting the psyche of women and photography, tell us what exactly is personal branding photography?
Aha. Very interesting. Okay. Your profile image when you put on LinkedIn, that is not your personal branding image. Okay. Some people think that, oh, I have a
Okay.
profile image, I have a personal brand. No, you don't. Personal branding photography includes a series of photographs of you working behind the scene,
Mm-hmm.
images of you working with your suppliers, if you have,
Mm-hmm.
images of
Mm-hmm.
you working with your customers,
Mm-hmm.
creating videos behind the scenes, show people
Mm-hmm.
your workspace, show people
Mm-hmm.
your products, how
Mm-hmm.
they are being displayed. People
Mm-hmm.
want to see what's going on behind the scene.
Mm-hmm.
That's personal branding photography. And
Mm-hmm.
these images you have to upgrade every season because people want to
Mm-hmm.
see refreshing images of who you are, of your
Mm-hmm.
business.
Mm-hmm. So, how would you define a season? I'm just trying to deconstruct the word season for those who are listening in, because it can be interpreted in different ways. So, according to you, what do you mean by a season?
When I talk about season, when you go to a retail shop, they change the
Yeah,
mannequin every season,
yeah,
like fall,
yeah,
summer.
yeah,
So
yeah.
when I talk about branding images, you can update your images every 8 months, every
Mm-hmm.
year, because
Mm-hmm.
you need new images on your
Mm-hmm.
social media platforms.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Okay, so basically, what you're saying is this is kind of like visually narrating a story. Is that where you're getting at with your description of a personal branding photography?
Yeah, I mean, when you show an image of you, let's say you're sitting next to
Mm-hmm.
a customer, some
Mm-hmm.
images or creating a video, that is
Mm-hmm.
telling a story to your customers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and also ask your customer to record a video testimonial for you instead of
Mm-hmm.
writing a text.
Mm-hmm.
I don't encourage you to write a text testimonial because that can be fake.
Mm-hmm.
You can write whatever you want, text, but
Mm-hmm.
then when you show a video of a customer talking about their
Mm-hmm.
experience, that's more powerful. So all
Mm-hmm.
these things, they are personal branding photography, and it's also telling a story, what you want to share
Mm-hmm.
to your target audience.
Mm-hmm. I really love how you have taken this further than just colors and just a profile picture. You're actually now telling us that personal branding photography is so much more than just a profile picture or a photograph that you put on your resume or on your website, right?
Yeah.
So, so tell us a little bit more about personal branding photography and how we can visually narrate our stories, because you have now opened out a whole new avenue for us. And I'm pretty sure, all the people who are listening and watching, and there are a few people who are already all ears, I'm sure they'd be very interested to know how do we tell our stories visually through personal branding photography?
I think there are two ways to tell your story. One is by writing, for those of
Yes.
you who only love to write, but that's not as
Mm-hmm.
powerful as creating videos because you can tell a
Mm-hmm.
story like I'm telling a story to you through videos.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that is powerful. Okay, so let me take one example of telling a story on videos.
Mm-hmm.
If you work, let's say you sell things online,
Yeah.
you have a storage room where you stock all
Mm-hmm.
your products.
Mm-hmm.
You can create a video of you telling your
Mm-hmm.
customers how you get the stock from your suppliers, how they are being
Mm-hmm.
packaged, and then how they're
Mm-hmm.
delivered.
Mm-hmm.
Adding all those labels, how you do that, how you
Mm-hmm.
tie a ribbon. Show all these
Mm-hmm.
things because these are very interesting things that your customers want to know behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
is a story that you tell.
Yeah.
Also, talk about the challenges you face in business. How do you overcome them? That can be
Yeah.
very inspirational for people who want to run a business.
Yeah.
And you know, they resonate with you, and that's how you build up that communication, that relationship with people. Whether they become your customers or not, it doesn't matter. There
Yeah.
is a community of people that resonate with you. They're super fans of yours. So
Absolutely.
they may become a customer one day. You never know.
Right. And when you talk about a customer, of course, if you have to expand the concept of a customer, it can be a donor for a nonprofit, or it can be your stakeholders at work. It can be people in your community that you're serving. It really is anybody who is a part of your community that you want to have a connection with towards mutually favorable outcomes, right?
Yes,
So
because sorry,
go on, please go on.
as I mentioned earlier, if you are serving someone who is a human being, there
Yes.
must be human interactions. That's
Absolutely,
it.
absolutely, absolutely. So I can see there's a question for you from Uday who says, Herman, do you agree when people say a personal story isn't told well?
Oh, I can see that comment. Don't really understand what he meant by a
Uday, if you
story
could just
isn't told well.
Uday, if you could just expand and help us understand this question a little bit better, I'm sure Herman will be happy to get to it.
Um, when you share a story, your personal
Mhm.
story to someone, whether they think it's a good,
Sorry,
oops,
yeah, I know my system is acting up today. Sorry. Yeah.
what I was saying, when you share a story, a personal story online, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's a good story or not, that
Mm-hmm.
will come from a customer watching it. But
Mm-hmm.
it is your story. Whatever story you tell,
Mm-hmm.
it is your
Yeah.
personal story.
Absolutely.
So whether it's good or not, maybe the recording is not good. That's what they meant. Or maybe your
Ah,
audio
okay.
is not good, or your lighting is not good. Because
Yeah.
not good can be very broad.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But maybe
Yeah.
they don't mean that your story is not good. Every story is good.
Yes.
It's how
Yes.
you tell it, how you share it with the audience.
I think it also goes back to what you pointed out a few minutes back about us not criticizing our own stories, because a lot of times we tend to criticize our stories because we are looking at it from a lens of being judged, because we are judging ourselves. So it
Hmm.
really depends on how much authenticity you bring and how much vulnerability you bring into your story, right?
Because it is your story. It can be
Yeah.
inspirational for people. It may not be
Yeah.
inspirational for other people. It doesn't matter. You are sharing
Yeah.
your story. That's it. Do it.
Absolutely.
And don't be
Uh,
afraid of how people criticize or what. That's why I said you have to work on your internal self.
right. So Herman, now that we have talked so much about we've expanded the scope of personal branding to storytelling, visual storytelling. I have a question for you, and I ask you this as a woman who herself experiences resistance periodically. Do you observe resistance or deep reservations amongst women when it comes to being photographed for their personal brands?
We have very special, nice special effects today, right?
I'm sorry, I'm just having a very bad evening. I'm very sorry, my apologies,
No, no
but my
worries.
attention is 100% on you.
No worries. I was just kidding. Reservations. In the beginning, there are a lot of reservations with women.
Yeah.
Again, like, they don't feel comfortable about their own features. They
Mm-hmm.
worry about what other people think of them, and that's why
Mm-hmm.
they are not comfortable to step out of their comfort zone
Mm-hmm.
to talk to people, to show their
Mm-hmm.
face to customers.
Mm-hmm.
But in the last 2 3 years, I don't see many reservations, because I make it a point to have
Mm-hmm.
an online chat with someone who sends in
Mm-hmm.
a photo shoot inquiry to see
Mm-hmm.
whether we are a good fit.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yes.
evaluate the customer, and they evaluate me as well.
Yeah.
So nowadays, I don't see many reservations. But having said that, I'm sure there are a lot of reservations with many women. That is something which I've noticed throughout my career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, so for the women who are listening to this talk and who will be listening to this, in the, listening to what you have to say and can see the value in personal branding photography, seeing it as more than just themselves smiling in front of a camera, but really about telling a story and showing the back end of who they are as people and the work they do in the world. What would you say are the absolute must do's and must haves that they have to have when they consider, or when they take, when they decide to go in for personal branding photography, so that they are satisfied with the end results?
Okay, the three must do is to first to work on your internal self, your self-esteem. That is the first. The second one is to be open and embrace changes. Let me elaborate on this because when you
Yes.
go to a photo shoot, I don't know about other photographers. I will ask my customers, how open are you when we put up more makeup on you? When you wear clothes that I suggest for you that you normally do not pick? I want to see what their responses are because
Yes.
I want to know if they are limited to their thoughts. So when you're open and embrace change, there are more possibilities.
Yeah.
This is just an example. So the third one would be don't be afraid to try new things.
Okay.
The
You
three,
know, it's very interesting that you say this, because, like, say for instance, I know, in the part of the world that I live in, personal branding photography is not experienced or perceived the way you've described it just now. It's actually, for a lot of people, it's about getting a stylist, getting a good dress on, standing in front of the camera and getting a photograph taken, and the photographer at best will arrange you in a particular position, and that's about it. So now when you say that as a photographer, you actually suggest to your clients that they could try on different makeup or different clothes or different attire. You're basically saying you're basically saying have a photographer who's going to invest in bringing your best self forward, and not someone who's just going to play safe with you.
right? Because when you hire someone to photograph you, you want something that you normally do not expect in your daily
Mm-hmm.
activities. Let's say you hire a garden designer. You want
Mm-hmm.
someone that design a garden that is out of your expectations. Why
Yes.
would you want something
Yes.
the same and hire someone to
Yes.
do it for you? Must well you do it yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But
I agree.
don't be sorry, Rekha.
Go on.
Don't be limited by the word personal branding. Don't be,
Yeah.
just go out and share images of your business behind the scene
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
tell that story.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. Right. So now, the next question, say supposing somebody wants to, somebody is looking for a personal branding photographer.
Right.
What should they be? You mentioned about the internal mindset, but
Mhm.
what about the external? What do they prepare? How, what level of preparedness should they have, and what should they be looking for? In that whole experience of doing personal branding for photography with a professional.
Okay. My tip for you when you look for a photographer, first of all, you ask your network for some
Mm-hmm.
recommendations.
Mm-hmm.
If a friend of yours recommended this person to you, it might be a
Mm-hmm.
good photographer for her, but it might
Yeah.
not be a good photographer for you.
Yeah.
So you have to make a point to go to their website to see
Mm-hmm.
if their style of work is what you are looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Are you looking for someone who is a jack of all trades, or are you looking for someone who specializes in personal branding?
Yeah.
Up to you, your choice. And then uh, make an effort to have a one-to-one meeting in person or
Mm-hmm.
online so that
Mm-hmm.
you feel the energy, whether both of you can work together.
Yeah.
And it's also important for you to ask yourself this question: what do you want in your photo shoot? A lot of people don't know what they want. Prepare a vision board of the images that you like to be photographed, share it with the photographer, including makeup, your hairstyling. Discuss this because it is your business. Discuss this in detail,
Yes.
and then
Yes.
magic happens. You have to know what you want. A lot of times I
Yeah.
ask, so how do you want to be photographed? How do you want people to see you? I don't know. See? So the preparedness, the next question, there's a lot of things to
Hmm.
prepare.
Hmm.
You have to go shopping for new
Yeah.
clothes. You have to
Yeah.
go manicure,
Yeah.
pedicure. You have
Yeah.
to have your hair cut, your hair
Yeah.
colored just before the
Yeah.
photo shoot. You might
Yes.
think, wow, so many things to prepare. Are you sure? Yes, I'm
Yeah.
very sure because this is your business, my
Yes.
friend. It is
Yeah.
part of your process. You have to enjoy the process. When you're involved,
Yeah.
you feel different. Your mindset is shifted. Really, really do
Yeah.
this. It's not
Yeah.
just going there and take a picture and that's it. Be
No.
involved in the process.
I really love the fact that you're saying be involved, because that is really one way of assuming the power you have as a human being to influence the outcomes that you want for yourself. And we should. I mean, regardless of what work we do, we should have the power to influence the outcomes of our life and the way we show up in the world. So I really love that you talk about being involved. And
Yeah,
just to kind of wind up the evening, this is a question you always ask me, so I have actually taken a cue out of your book, Herman. What
do I?
are your top? Yeah, you always ask me about the top three tips. So this time I'm going to ask you about the top three tips you have for women who want to start creating a signature, not signature visual identity.
Three things.
Yep, just three tips.
Your mindset, okay?
Okay.
Your mindset,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
your self esteem,
Mm-hmm.
and don't care about what other people say about you when you put out a content on social media.
Hmm.
All right, three things.
Okay. Very simple, but that's really, really, it's easier said than done. Again, to borrow a phrase out of your books, do you have tips to break it down and make it more digestible and practicable for us on a day-to-day basis?
You mean how to dissect each of those?
Yeah, like, do you have daily tips or something that one can do to do it? Because it's easy to say. It's really easy for us to say, um, you know,
Yeah,
don't care about what people think, right? Or go out there and show your best face. It's easy to say that, but how do you actually do it? Because we are dealing with a lot of fear and anxiety at the very prospect of putting ourselves out there, aren't we?
I give you one example. All
Mm-hmm.
right. If
Mm-hmm.
let's say your house is on fire right now,
Mm-hmm.
do you really care about what's going on, or do you really just go in and grab your cat and save him? Or do you procrastinate and overthink about things? You don't,
No, you don't.
because there's a fire. You have to save anyone in the house.
Yeah.
So if I bring this to what you need to do, for instance,
Yeah.
you want to create a video.
Yeah.
Don't be obsessed with what kind of camera or your lens that you need to buy. Don't be
Mm.
obsessed with the lights that you need to use. A lot of people have very advanced mobile phones right now. You
Yeah.
can create wonderful, good quality videos just with your phone by
Yeah.
using daylight, natural light. You don't have to
Yeah.
buy equipment. You have the phone,
Yeah.
have a tripod, and write a script
Yeah.
and practice it and
Yes.
throw it out into the
Absolutely.
universe.
Absolutely. So Benjamin had another question for you, which where he talks about people say, "I don't really know what I want. You're a pro. Please recommend the best of your styles." Would you blame people for being naive? What they really want? I'm assuming he means, would you blame people for being naive for not knowing what they really want?
I wouldn't use the word blame, but I think
Mm-hmm.
everybody, every human
Mm-hmm.
being, let's say you go to a restaurant
Yeah.
and ask you, what do you want to eat? And you tell me
Mm-hmm.
anything. That
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. The restaurant doesn't sell anything.
Yeah.
So you must know what you want in life.
Yeah.
Otherwise, how do you move on in life? It goes
Yeah.
with your photo shoot. You must have an idea how you want to be photographed. You have
Yeah.
seen magazines, pictures on Google, how you want to be photographed, the kind of poses.
Yeah.
If you do not know what you want, you have to work on yourself. I'm sorry.
I also think it is a question of if you, it's not really a question of you don't know what you really want. It is, are you giving yourself permission to recognize what you want? Because we all know what we want. There's nobody on earth who does not know what he or she wants. He does, we all know what we want. The question is, are we going to be courageous enough to say, I want this? And then say, I'm going to walk towards it and get this for myself. And I think that's a fundamental question to ask.
Hmm.
Also the fact that there is a distance between knowing what you want and actually getting that exact thing you want, and that in between distance is your learning curve. So exactly like Herman said, we start off with little phone cameras and you learn with each videos, but until and unless we try, we are never ever going to uh, actually get out there and learn, right?
Yeah, because if you keep having all these limited thoughts inside here,
Yes,
you are not
yes,
going to move forward because you are telling yourself
yeah,
the old same old story in your head. I can't do
yes,
this. What should I do?
yeah,
I have nothing to
yeah,
wear. You are limiting
absolutely,
yourself.
absolutely,
So I say
absolutely.
mindset, self-esteem, they are the fundamental things that everyone needs to master, regardless is of personal branding photography, but that's the foundation in life.
Yes, yes. At the end of the day, whether it's a personal branding strategist or a coach or a consultant or somebody who's teaching you how to build your personal brand on LinkedIn, or whether it's photograph, the fact of it is we can only lead the horse to the water. It's up to you to drink. It's up to the horse to drink. And that is something I think we all have to be very conscious and aware of. So I think we've had a really great conversation. I can see quite a few people
Yeah.
have piped in with a lot of comments. Thank you, everybody. And Herman, thank you so much for this fantastic conversations. I apologize for all the disturbances and the craziness at my end. But, we just spoke about the learning curve and we just spoke about showing up. So I had a lot of odds stacked against me this evening, but I said, look, I want to come in and have this conversation because this is important. And I think this is going to be a great conversation. So thank you for your patience. Thank you for just being here and for sharing all this wisdom with us. To the audience who's been watching us, who's been commenting, Uday, Halcyon, Joshua, thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. Please do join us for our future lives. I will be back again next Friday with another conversation. And this time we are going to have a coach join us all the way from Cyprus, and she will be talking about living a life without fear. So that's going to be a really exciting conversation. So do join us next Friday, 6:30 p.m. Till then, take care. Have a great weekend, everybody.